Your name? We're good? Okay.
My name is Jeane5.
Jeannie, can you tell us a little bit about your story? Why are you here today?
I'm here because I have two children. These are their pictures, Hannah and Travis. Both have been classified in the autism spectrum disorders. My daughter Hannah is 19 now and she is autistic. And my son, Travis, 14, has Asperger's syndrome and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The funds, the Medicaid cuts that are being considered would have a devastating impact on our family, particularly my daughter Hannah. She is more severe and could not live on her own. She was three and a half when she was diagnosed, and we started on some waiting list around the time of she was 5, and it was more than 7 years before we got any services at all through the class program. Her progress had been very slow up to that point, but through some of the therapists and the in-home support, she made a lot of progress. She became more verbal. Some of the more difficult behavior issues that she was having diminished, and she was more appropriate in public settings. It was a godsend to our family. Then, each year, while we were on the program, the last 3 years in particular, things would be cut back a little bit. Well, we revised it. We're not going to have as much money for therapies. And my husband and I both work. We have private insurance. We paid for everything that we could pay for. We paid for a lot of things that were not covered. But these were getting into things that our insurance would not cover and things that were just making a huge difference for her. So to see them slowly taken away was very frustrating. Last year, she was 18, and around that age, for I don't know why, whether it was hormones, whether it was just growing up in her own way, and her inability to express frustrations verbally, she became quite violent. Not all the time, but significantly so, and a lot of it was targeted toward her younger brother, who, as I said earlier, has Asperger's. So Asperger affects social functioning. That's probably the big highlight. So he didn't understand how to respond, and between the two of them together, it became quite dangerous for both of them. My daughter started to leave the house again at night, which is also characteristic of autism, where they escape. They like to elope. They don't have fear of dangers. So she had no problems just like literally breaking out of the house and running down the street at 3 in the morning, which of course no one slept. Made it hard to work. Very frightening because who could pick her up, and she'd bang on neighbors' doors. It was just difficult. But the violence that started to occur last year made it unbearable, to the point where we truly thought that someone was going to get killed. We had locks everywhere to try to keep us safe. We had trained my son in karate and gone through, okay, if she does this, you do this. And I think the final straw for me was one day he was, despite, this took a lot of coaching to get him to this point, he had gone in and locked himself in a room like he was told to work on a project. And I was actually getting her evening medication ready downstairs, and I hear him screaming, and she had literally busted down the door, broken it in half, and had him on the floor and was beating him up. And that was the final straw. And I fell apart, not knowing what was going to happen next, when I learned about the ICF homes, which are intermediate care facilities. They're Medicaid funded, and typically privately run, but Medicaid funded. They're a home, so there's just a limited number of kids there, and they're all, again, in my mind, children because of their mental age. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It was to put her into this home. But it was also the best decision that we ever made, because the structure, the staff, the caring, and the services that they've provided have really turned her around. We see her every weekend, and we don't have the violent episodes anymore. My son still has, I would almost call it PTSD episodes, because of the attacks that he had. And at the beginning of the school year, when we put her in the home, it was hard because she grabbed him and hugged him and was saying, "Travis, no kick, no hit, no, don't bite, no." And he says, "Mom, please." And so we left her, and we were both in tears, and I've never seen my son fall apart like that. And say, how can you love and hate somebody at the same time? Over this period of time, it's been a time of healing. And this son of mine, who struggles with his own disabilities, who's always had education support through the schools, is starting to blossom. He was, at the beginning of the school years, he was so devastated by all this. He was failing in everything. And now he's made an honor roll. He's got perfect scores on his TAKs. He's got accepted into one of the new magnet schools in San Antonio. And I'm really beyond terrified. The old story of, Solomon and the baby. I almost feel like I love both my children, but they can't live together. And knowing my daughter, she does very well in smaller groups. She's quiet and she doesn't like noise. She decompensates in large noise environments. So a big institution would just destroy her, lead to more violence, and lead to, I don't know what would happen. The home that she's in has been a lifesaver. I really truly feel it's actually saved our family's lives, because I don't know what would have happened to us physically as well as emotionally, and what would have happened long term to my son mentally because of the things that were going on. If it were to close, and my fear is with the Medicaid cuts, a lot of these programs may have to close. I don't know what we would do. There's a lot of other kids in the home, a lot of the kids, a lot of disabled. They're not just in San Antonio, throughout the state. They're not there because they're lazy. They're not there because they did anything, so to speak. They're there because they were born or perhaps injured and have that's with them the rest of their life. They will never be able to work in the same way that you and I can. They're never going to pick yourself by the bootstraps and go out and get a job. It doesn't work this way. And if we can't take care of those people that are the most vulnerable, I don't know what it says about us as a people. I really don't. We've done all we can do. Like I said, my husband and I have worked. We pay our bills. We've spent what we can above and beyond. We've used our insurance where we could. And if this facility weren't around, I'm at a loss. I truly don't know what we would have done. And it terrifies me. And so that's why I'm here today, is to plead with whoever hears my voice and whoever would listen, that you can't turn your back on us. You can't turn your back on these children and these adults and expect the state to stay a great state, for people to want to come here if they know that we don't really care about our children. We don't care about what's going to happen to them, and they're not going to go away. Someone said it's like a balloon. If you squeeze one part of the balloon, the air just goes to the other part. There's the jails, whether it's the jails or the hospital or on the street, they're still there. We have to take care of them. And this is a beautiful way to do it. And it's been, in terms of funding, very cost effective. I mean, there's the matching funds from the government for the Medicaid program. I don't know if it's 70-30 right now, but they told me the home that she's in runs about $116 a day, which is unbelievably cheap. I mean, it's a bargain if you think that covers a home, the staff, the lighting, the electricity. They do a beautiful job with what they have. They're not living in mansions, they're not going extravagant, they're providing what the children and these kids need and doing a beautiful, beautiful job. And my husband are both so thankful. And for the first time in a long time, feel like we can breathe, you know, she's happy, our son's happy, you know, we're able to patch the wall. That's what I've been doing this week at the house. We've been actually patching holes in the walls and repainting from some of the damage that has been done. And that's symbolic, but it's been amazing to even see that transformation. And so that's my prayer, my plea, everything is that we don't turn back. We don't stop. The need is there. It's not going away. The need will continue to grow, and we need to be ready to help.
Well, I am at a loss, and I actually don't have any other questions. We've done a number of these, and normally there's more back and forth, but I think that was just a beautiful and articulate summation of why this is important. So I don't have anything else to add.
That's perfect.
But